Hi, everybody. My name is Jennie Date, and I run Hidden Path Astrology. You can find me at hiddenpathastrology.com if you want to find out more about what I'm doing. But today I'm launching a new endeavor. It's called The Short Answer, Your Astrology Questions Answered in Brief. And I've decided just to put together a video channel so that you can get answers to your astrology questions quickly. So today we're going to talk about eclipses. The question of the day is, what does an eclipse mean in astrology? So we're right in the middle of eclipse season here. We just had a lunar eclipse over a week ago, and we're looking up coming to a solar eclipse. So I thought this is a great time to talk about this topic. So first of all, before we get started, let me just say that eclipses have a measurable effect on the Earth's magnetic field. So they are indeed a real thing. They occur in predictable cycles. They happen twice a year. There's always a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse at the same time. They're very common, but what makes them rare is whether or not you're in the right position on Earth to see a total solar eclipse or a total lunar eclipse. So that's kind of the beginning of this. So let's talk a little bit about the astronomy of what has to happen in order to make an eclipse. So first of all, let's talk about solar eclipses first. So a solar eclipse happens when the sun and the moon are together. So it's always going to be a new moon. And by definition, they're always going to be in the same zodiac sign at that new moon, the exact same degree. So they are exactly together, conjunct at the new moon, which means that they are in the same longitude from Earth's viewpoint. So that's condition one. Condition two is that they also have to be parallel. So this means the same position north or south. So this has more to do with latitude as opposed to longitude and is also known as declination. So that's condition two. And condition three is the sun and the moon both have to be conjunct one of the moon's nodes. And I'll explain a little bit more about what that means in a minute. So take a look at this diagram. This really shows you the solar eclipse. I mean, here obviously is a photograph of the solar eclipse. But if you take a look at this diagram, you see that here's the sun. The moon is between the sun and the Earth. So the moon is blocking the sun. That's what we see at a solar eclipse. Okay, so that is a solar eclipse. That's a little bit different than a lunar eclipse. So now let's take a look at the conditions for a lunar eclipse. Okay, here we go. So a lunar eclipse is when the moon takes on that funky reddish hue. And this is different from the solar eclipse because it only can happen at the full moon. So instead of the new moon, we're now at the full moon. And this is when the sun and the moon are opposite. So now they're going to be in the exact opposite zodiac sign, the same exact degree, but the opposite sign. So you do have to know your zodiac wheel to know what sign it's going to be in. So that's condition one for a lunar eclipse. Condition two is that it also has to be contraparallel. So this is at the opposite north and south latitude. So if one is at, say, 10 degrees north, the other luminary is going to need to be at 10 degrees south in order to make for a lunar eclipse. So they're lined up both north-south and east-west. And then the final condition is once again, they have to be conjunct both of the moon's nodes. Because it's in opposition, the lunar nodes are in opposition, they're going to be next to a lunar node each. So you can see in the diagram here, you have the sun. Now it's the moon is on the other side of the earth, and it's actually the sun casting the shadow onto the moon that is creating the eclipse look and putting it in the penumbral shadow. Okay, so those are the two conditions you need for a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse. You also want to take a look at one more slide here, actually two more slides. So what does this all mean for astrology? That's really the question. So for that, I'm going to bring you to this other tile I have here, the four types of eclipses. So in astrology, here's what you're going to want to know. I mentioned that the solar eclipse has to be conjunct either of the nodes. Okay, so if you have the solar eclipse conjunct a north node, then what you need to do is shine a light on a new path to rise towards spirit. So that's a north node solar eclipse. If, on the other hand, you have a solar eclipse conjunct the south node, then it's a little more like you have to release what is in the south node in order to rise towards spirit. So there's a little more having to deal with just unconscious behaviors, things that are hidden in the past or hidden in your shadow that you're having to confront and deal with. So it's a little bit more challenging of a solar eclipse. Okay, so that's those two. And then the other thing that you want to think about with a lunar eclipse, a north node lunar eclipse, is that you are trying to instill new behavior, which is what the north node represents, new behavior, a new pathway, by exhuming the past. So this means having to deal with things of your past. That's what the moon represents, your childhood, your upbringing, those kinds of things. So that's a north node lunar eclipse. And then finally, we have a south node lunar eclipse. This is when you need to really purge those unconscious habits, and then you can, exhume the past. Those two things go together. So it's getting rid of those unconscious habits and looking in your past to kind of unpack those. So subtle differences, but they do make a difference in how it ends up working out for you. So let me just say here, I'll let you keep this title so you can keep reading that. But it also really, really matters what your natal chart says. If one of these eclipses is falling across your own nodal axis or your own sun or moon or some other important planet in your chart, these are going to have far more impact than if they don't. There's usually things that will be brought up in different areas of your life, but it's really when you have it on a very specific point to you that it's going to have a big impact. So overall, eclipses are pivot points in your life. Again, they're the most powerful when they're connecting to something relevant for you in your own natal chart. They have subtly different meanings, whether it's a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, and whether it's a north node or a south node eclipse. And yeah, let me just leave you with imagine being an ancient person and having the sun blotted out or having the moon turn red and just think, my God, what is happening? So it has incredible power and really symbolizes big shifts in our consciousness. And all of this really just connects us to nature and to the natural cycles, which is what I'm all about at Hidden Path Astrology. I am so focused on that and so passionate about that. And so let me just show you one more tile, which is an opportunity for you to see what eclipses are coming up. I am making this video in 2024, so you'll see this is a short list of videos, excuse me, of eclipses that are coming up for you. We just had this September 17th, 2024 Pisces lunar eclipse. We're just about to have a Libra solar eclipse. And then this is the eclipse cycle for next year. The eclipses are in the process of moving from Libra and Aries into Virgo and Pisces. So snap a little screenshot of that if you want. Okay. All right. Well, let me just close by saying these eclipses are very powerful. I'm also planning on making a short video about the nodes, so you have a better understanding of what I'm talking about in this video when it comes to the nodes. So look out for that. And meanwhile, make comments. If you have questions, please send me a comment and I will make a video to answer your question. So that's it. Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time at the short answer with Hidden Path Astrology.